All right, welcome back to another episode of Not Top 25. Here at the helm with me is Kyle Dixon, NFL draft prospect. It's an irregular episode because Trey isn't with us tonight. He is in the middle of his men's league basketball championship game. So best of luck to Trey. Happy Monday and happy 420 to all that celebrate. But nonetheless, we're going to get into this interview. Kyle, how are you, brother?
I'm doing great, man. How are you?
Well, I'm glad to have you on tonight, man. Before we,
Yeah.
yeah, man, before we get into like any draft process or anything like that, I would like for you, for the viewers and listeners, to just share your collegiate experience because I think you have one of the more interesting stories out of anybody who's in the draft. Correct me if I'm wrong, but played 2 years of D1 baseball, put down the baseball to pick up a football, and now you're in the NFL draft. So if you care to just elaborate on that.
Yeah. So I guess it starts a little bit in high school. My junior year, I was kind of trying to get recruited for baseball and football. Baseball ended up getting a little bit more traction, so decided to go play baseball in college at Southern Illinois Carbondale. Had a good first year there. Second year was pretty inconsistent, didn't play a ton, got my scholarship cut that year. So I transferred to Southern Illinois Edwardsville and had an okay year there, but ultimately transferred again to Georgia Gwinnett College and NAI school for baseball my last year. Still a little bit inconsistent there, struggling with their own strikes, and played summer ball that next summer and finished playing, and I was done. I was done being a college athlete, and I think I was working a remote sales job for a couple months, and I was sitting there, I'm like, man, I've told myself since my freshman year of college I wanted to play football in college. Got eligibility left, so why not go back? And ended up going back to Culver for 2 years and having a pretty good couple of years there and put myself in a good position going into the draft now.
It's exciting. For all the viewers and listeners, Kyle and I played in a flag football tournament in St. Louis together
Oh, yeah.
before, and he was by far the best athlete out there on the field. We had former guys who played at Illinois. We had, a bunch of other guys who played D1 and stuff like that. You were by far the best athlete out there. So I never had a doubt in my mind that you were an athlete. You had a really good year in NAIA football, and you actually got an invite to the Hula Bowl, correct? You got to meet John
Yep.
Gruden and a bunch of other guys. What was that experience like?
Man, I mean, I'll tell you, it was an amazing experience for me. For one, John Gruden was our head coach. Then we had John Fox as our defensive coordinator. And then for our receivers coach, I had Ike Hilliard, who's former NFL receiver, but John Gruden also ran our offense as well. So there's a few things there that stood out to me, but I would say the biggest ones were, one, just Gruden himself. Like, he's exactly how he seems on social media. Like, that's not bullshit. That's the exact same person. Two, like, he's a very intentionally positive guy, which I found, like, very interesting, and it's kind of a commonality between all of these coaches. And then the last thing was just kind of the difference between the NAI level of offensive schemes compared to, like, an NFL level offensive scheme, because that was stuff Gruden ran with teams that he coached. So there's just a ton of wrinkles. So, I mean, you'd have your base play, and then there'd be 5 or 6 variations off of it based on, if they're running a certain coverage or maybe they're doubling a certain guy. We've got an answer for everything. So it was really cool to be able to see the amount of detail and strategy that goes into it at that level, because it really is like a chess match at that point.
That's cool, man. You actually already answered one of my questions. I was going to ask you if Gruden's the same exact guy off camera as, like, the guy you see on Barstool. And
Absolutely.
that's so funny, man. He's just a guy who loves football at the end of the day.
Yeah, I mean, you could tell, like, he loves football more than anybody else in the entire building. Like, it is infectious energy all the time, very passionate, high energy guy. Like, you're not going to have a bad day around him.
That's awesome, man. And then I know Kyron Drones out of Virginia Tech was there at the Hula Bowl, as well as Blake Chapin out of Mississippi State.
Mhm.
So what was that like? I'm sure you did routes on air and one-on-ones with those guys. And, like, what was it just like being around that level of competition?
Yeah. No, it was a lot of fun being around guys like that because, obviously there's a little bit higher level athleticism there, and the quarterbacks are able to make, like, a little bit better throws, a little bit more zip on their throws.
Mm.
And I think as far as, like, just knowing the game, you're able to play the game at, like, a higher IQ level, just being around other guys that are going to be on the same page as you, as far as, maybe some of the higher level things you're seeing throughout the play, as far as what defenses are running, where holes and zones are going to be, things like that. So it was an awesome experience being able to work with those guys and, just get to hang out with them throughout the week.
Yeah, see, that's really cool that you got to go from that experience straight into the NFL draft process. And like the first question I want to ask you about the draft process is, like, as football fan who's, obviously never had the capability of going to a combine or anything like that. Obviously, like, you see the 40, you see like the 90 or you see all these drills, if you will, but like what else goes
Mhm.
on behind the scenes that you don't see on the TV screen?
Yeah. So at the pro day, for example, like there's meetings night before with teams. So I was meeting with a few teams the night before the pro day. And then the day of the pro day, you do all your drills and things like that, but there's a lot of talking to individual scouts after that. So there's maybe a little bit more than meets the eye, but honestly, it was something that went by in the blink of an eye. And next thing you know, you're done, shaking hands, leaving, and, hoping you had a pretty good day to create some buzz.
Yeah, of course. And then, like obviously they test your physicality, but it also seems like in those meeting rooms and stuff like that, they test your mental capabilities and stuff like that. Do you care to elaborate on that whatsoever?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, a large portion of the conversations is covering my story, getting to know me as a person a little bit better. But, once all that stuff's covered, it's diving more into the X's and O's. So, the closer you get to the draft, the more it's specifics of them bringing up film, you walking them through of like what you're seeing pre snap, what formations you're in, what the play is, why you made certain reads throughout the play, just really talking through and really trying to get inside my head and understand what type of football player I am up top. But in addition to that, the further away you get from the draft, the more the conversations are just trying to get a general feel of your understanding for your own offense. So, for example, like a common question would have been a big third down, 3rd and 9. What play are you guys running? And walk me through everybody's responsibilities on this play, what the quarterback's reads are, things like that. I wouldn't say, to be honest, it was more detailed than I expected. My first time going through this process, I think I expected it to be a little bit higher level, I guess. It's
Mm-hmm.
kind of a situation you don't know what you don't know.
Right.
But I think I've performed well in those interviews and meetings with them and, kind of put my best foot forward as far as who I am as a football player up here.
Of course. And I feel like that's something a lot of people don't think about, especially like from my perspective, who's just a football fan is, I mean, obviously you're showing your physicality and like your capabilities physically, but like it's also a job interview at the end of the day. So, it's just something you don't think about is questions like that in the meeting room and just like how knowledgeable you are about the actual sport, if you will. I guess with all
Yeah.
that being said, what has been your favorite part of this entire process thus far? I know you haven't got drafted yet. I know it's coming up on Thursday, Friday, Saturday. So just where are you at and what was your favorite part?
Well, that's a really good question. I would say the coolest thing throughout the entire process was when I was on the 30 visit, going to get and sit down and talk with Reggie Wayne for about an hour. He's a receivers coach for the Colts. So obviously, we grew up watching him carve
Right.
defenses as a receiver. Him, Peyton Manning, Marvin
Hmm.
Harrison. Right? I mean, those were elite offenses back then. So really, just having the opportunity to sit there in front of him and talk to him and break down football a little bit, talk about the good, the bad, what he sees within me as a player. So it was a really surreal moment, but at the same time, like you said, it's a job interview, so you got to kind of snap out of that pretty quick and leave that at the door, until you go home and tell people about it.
Yeah, of course. Oh man, I know as soon as you hop in the car back home, you're excited to tell everybody about that.
Oh yeah,
That's awesome, man.
yeah.
And then like, you get starstruck or have you been starstruck? Just obviously meeting Reggie Wayne and like it sounds like you met with the Colts or like Shane Steichen and so on and so forth. I'm sure you met with the owner as well.
Yep. Yeah. It's funny. Not really. Not really. It's kind of one of those things where you try to just shut it out of your mind. So a lot of it too is, the meetings for one are pretty quick paced and, you've got other teams you're talking to. So you don't really have time to sit and think about, holy shit, I was just talking to Reggie Wayne or, or like Mike Vrabel today. Like I don't have time to sit and think like, holy shit, I'm talking to Mike Vrabel. Like you've got to be
Wow.
present for that interview. It's yeah, it's a kind of one of those things you just got to switch off for a little bit.
Man, I'm a big Titans fan. I'm a huge fan of Braves. That's so
Ah,
exciting, bro. That's so awesome, man. So with that being said, obviously you met with the Patriots and you met with the Colts. What other teams have you met with throughout this entire process?
yeah. So since the Hula Bowl, I've met with every single team in some capacity. So we've had plenty of interest, and I keep hearing it, but anything can change between now and the draft. So as much as I wish I had a really good idea of what's about to happen, it's a very much so unsure, I'll
Yeah.
say.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair to say. I mean, everything's uncertain at this point.
Hmm.
And then as far as meeting with the teams, do they bring you in like just by yourself or do you come in as groups like with other draft prospects or how does that work?
Yeah, so the way it works is your visits are either phone calls, they're either Zoom meetings or like a 30 visit, private workout. So on the 30 visits, there's a few other people depending on the day you're there that'll be with you. So when I was with the Colts, Carson Beck, Jacob Rodriguez, Wes Weeks, they were all there with me.
Wow.
And then obviously phone calls and Zoom calls, that's more one-on-one. But
Hmm.
yeah, it was a pretty cool experience just being around some of those guys, especially guys I probably played some college football with on the PlayStation.
Right. Yeah. That was going to be my next question. What was it like meeting guys like, I guess, Carson Beck, who just played in the national championship? You watched him on TV about a month ago, month and a half ago.
Yeah, it was kind of odd, but at the same time, it's one of those things like you're both in the same place for a reason. So, you just go about your business and save that kind of starstruck stuff for later.
Yeah. Like, you mean odd in the way that, like, he was just on TV, or just odd in the way it just,
Exactly.
yeah, that's interesting,
Yeah,
man.
it's just one of those things, you're sitting there watching them on TV and then all of a sudden you're right next to them in a room,
Hmm.
right? It's just weird.
It is weird. So, obviously, you went to Culver Stockton College. Would you be the first guy to get drafted from Culver Stockton into the NFL?
So, if drafted, yes. There was a guy there 3 years ago, Andrew Rupich. He actually played for the Titans for a bit,
Yeah.
but he's on the practice squad with the Patriots right now. So, kind of following in his footsteps a little bit.
That's cool, man. Well, let's say you were to get drafted. How would you feel being the only player out of your college to get drafted to the NFL, and like what type of legacy that you're leaving with that school?
Yeah. I mean, I think that would be an awesome opportunity, especially that hopefully it can inspire other people in similar situations. Because man, the journey hasn't been easy, especially with starting out thinking baseball was my ticket for sure. And then having that kind of all crash down. I mean, I hope that it inspires some other people to go and chase the things that they want to do, because at the end of the day, your path is your path and it's going to be what you make of it. So I think that it's just a cool story to be able to learn some lessons from, hopefully.
Yeah, absolutely, dude. You're leaving an everlasting, like, you might get a road named after you in Culver Stockton. You know what I mean? They're gonna have your jersey up in the locker room and stuff like that. That's cool, man.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if you've seen anywhere, but it's in the media and stuff that, like, a lot of the guys who are going mocked first round, they're not attending the actual draft. They're staying with their people and like having their own private draft parties. You're doing the same thing, obviously. What are your thoughts on that, or just have you heard anything else on that from any of the guys in the draft who are maybe getting mocked early?
Yeah, no, I mean, I haven't heard a ton about that. From what I've heard from guys that I know, like some of them are having, some of these more, I guess, extravagant opportunities, like going to the actual draft and being a part of that, which is an awesome experience. But yeah, it's kind of a mixed bag. A lot of people I know are just kind of hanging with family, people that are close to them, keeping a little bit more small of a celebration. But I kind of fall on that same side of it. I just want to be around some close friends, family, and coaches, and really take it all in.
Yeah, no, I don't blame you. I see both sides of it. I see where, obviously you want to get to experience the draft, be on TV, be in front of all those fans. That's awesome. I love that for the guys who are going to be there. But on the other hand, I see where you're coming from as well. Just, being there for the people that built you up to get to that point and stuff like that. I think it's very
Exactly.
important. So I just didn't know if you saw anything on that. Like, I saw Mendoza isn't going. He's mocked as number one overall pick. So, that's different from years past. I just didn't know how you felt about that.
Yeah. No, I honestly wasn't even aware of that, but that is pretty insane. I get it though, because I couldn't have said it better than you. I mean, all these people have put so much into your own career, sacrificed a lot just to be there to support you. So, I think it's pretty cool to be able to share the moment with all of them.
Yeah, absolutely. So what are you doing in your time between now and the actual draft? You just kicking back, relaxing for once?
No, not quite. So it's still keeping up training, getting ready, because we'll have rookie mini camp starting either a week after the draft or 2 weeks after. And then there's still some Zoom meetings, phone calls going on with teams leading up to Thursday. So we'll have that for a few more days this week. And yeah, then we'll be locked in on NFL Network come Thursday and Friday and Saturday.
Yeah, man, I hear you. As far as regarding like rookie camps and stuff like that, did Reggie Wayne or any of those guys talk to you about what that process is going to be like?
Yeah, so essentially what that'll be is the rookie mini camp's just 3 days. So it'll either be the May 1st through the 4th for some teams, or other teams it's the 8th through the 11th. But it's more so a time for you to really get acclimated to like the team, facility, playbook. The easiest way to think about it from what I was told is that it's going to be more of like kind of spring ball type setting, to where you're just
Hmm.
learning and kind of getting your feet under you a little bit, not no padded practices, things like that.
Cool. Yeah, it's basically like your orientation, stuff
More
like
or
that.
less, yeah.
Are you excited for your rookie dinner say you were to get drafted by the Colts, everybody talks about the rookie dinners and how expensive they are.
You know, I've actually thought about that, and I'm not excited for that.
Yeah, like I don't know if you've seen that video of Garrett Wilson. He's like, "Yeah, that rookie dinner gonna be nice." They're like, "No, it's not, bro. No, it's not."
There ain't nothing nice about dropping 40 on a
Nah,
dinner.
nah. Hopefully, the receiver room wherever you get drafted doesn't see this. They'll be running up the
No
bill.
kidding. No kidding.
Do you have like a preferred destination spot or anywhere in mind that you would prefer, like as your number one? We don't have to say any places you wouldn't want to go, obviously, but like a place you'd ideally like to go.
Yeah. I mean, for me, I think it would be awesome opportunity to be able to stay in the Midwest, just to be around family still. They have good opportunities to be able to come watch me play. Maybe sometimes I get to go visit. I think it would also be an awesome opportunity to go play with Rupich in New England. Just with that Culver connection, I think that'd be a pretty damn cool opportunity. At the end of the day, I think it would be pretty awesome to be on any team. So at the moment, I actually haven't even put together a list of my top teams yet. That's something that's on my docket list this week. But yeah, man, it's been so busy. You really don't have a whole lot of time to sit and think about that up until now,
All right.
to be completely honest with you.
So when you say your docket list, do you have to actually submit like a top three destination spots into like the NFLPA or whoever it is, like the draft committee or something like that?
So not necessarily for that, but it's between me and my agent. So he's putting
Mm,
together his top 15 teams. I'm putting together my top 15 teams, and then on Wednesday this week we're going to come together and kind of talk it through of why he sees these teams as a top 10, 15 versus why I see it, and hash out like a pretty solidified list. That's going to change as soon as draft day hits. One receiver gets picked, and now this team's got too many receivers, or maybe they thought that they were gonna grab a backer at this spot, and then they grabbed a receiver, and now that changes things. So as much as we're going to try to get a solidified list together, I mean, it's going to change between Thursday to Saturday.
right. Yeah. That'll be a topic of discussion between you and your guy for sure. You mentioned your agent though. I'm curious, like when did that start coming to fruition? And if it's been a while, just tell me that. But if not, what's that process like?
Yeah, so I've been with him since November. He actually made contact with me, shoot, back in June or July of this past summer. He reached out over Instagram and just kind of kept in contact with me throughout the season pretty frequently. I had some other agents reach out, but he seemed like he was the most genuine. He was definitely the one who, was staying on top of me, checking in, things like that. So ultimately, I felt like personally he was the most genuine person, and seemed like he truly cared about me. And I think I've made a great decision because that's definitely how it's played out. And it's another friend that I have through this process, which is pretty awesome.
That is cool. And then what exactly does, I mean, obviously, like he comes into play for contracts and stuff like that, but is there any other things that like an agent provides for you personally as a player?
Yeah, so even just giving us resources to prep us for these interviews, obviously constant contact about what teams are interested, what they're saying, things like that. But in addition, just getting some marketing opportunities put together for you, card deals, podcasts, things like that. More of like the, I guess, more passive streams of income outside of football. That's where they come into play. And then really the way I'm understanding is a lot of agents, they don't make a ton of money off guys' first contracts. It's that second contract when they start to actually make money off you. So
Hmm.
until that point, it's more like the marketing and generating cash flow that way is ways they're able to make money for you.
That's good. I mean, that makes it more rewarding on his end, but also it's kind of an eye for an eye. It's like if you do good, he does good. It's not just, he's there to do good off of you, if that makes sense. You know what I
Mm.
mean? Initially. But yeah, man, that's really exciting. I pretty much asked all the questions I've asked. Do you have any last words before the draft or just anything you want to get out there to the folks? We've reached like 4 million people on our Instagram in the last 2 months. So quite a few people are going to see this video.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, I mean, I definitely want to thank my family, all my friends, my girlfriend, been very supportive throughout this. And honestly, it's not a process that you can navigate alone. Like it truly does take a village to help get you through this, just like mentally, emotionally. But I mean, the real message I want to leave people with is kind of what I touched on earlier. Like your path is your path, and at the end of the day, your life is what you make of it. And I truly believe you just got to tackle life with a fully optimistic and blind faith attitude that things are going to work out for the best for you. And as long as you work hard and you treat everybody right, then you have no reason to believe that life won't work out for the best for you.
I agree with everything you just said. I think that's very well said, Kyle. With that being said, tune in. I think this episode will probably go up tomorrow. Thanks everybody for tuning in, and everybody have a great night. Best of luck, Kyle.
All right. Thank you.
Yes, sir.